Hey everybody, it's Norm from Tested.
Sean from Tested.
Now, over the past few months, we've been so excited to share with you the projects of Jackie Yuan.
Excellent designer, intricate stuff.
Beautiful stuff.
Yes.
And today we're going to talk about how he turns those 3D prints into the beautiful finished products.
Yes, one of the things that I always shy away from, so I'm hoping to get some tips.
Want to learn some stuff. So let's
Yeah.
check in with Jackie. And here we are once again back with Jackie Yuan, 3D printing expert. You model and design your own things. We've talked in previous videos with you about, for example, your lightsaber project, modeling and putting out this Ducati, and some finished products like your Mech Warrior online figurines, your action figures. Today, we want to talk a little bit more about your finishing process and how you paint, and how you take something from the printer and make it look like a real toy or a figure. So what do you do?
So part of my process is I airbrush a lot of my work. I sometimes use paintbrushes and stuff like that. But one of the other things too is because I have a 3D printer, I can also design my own tools that I can use to help me do all this stuff. So this here is a 3D printed airbrush station. I actually haven't found one that you could buy that has all the stuff I needed. So I thought, maybe I'll just make one. And I had all these like CD spindles left over.
Yes.
I'm sure everybody has those around their house somewhere and they're like not used anymore. So I thought, that would be an okay enough container. So I designed and printed this this top section that goes on that basically holds all of my tools, my airbrush. It keeps the cup vertical so that the paint doesn't spill everywhere. And it has all the water tools. So if you need drips of water, and then a paintbrush to mix your paints. And this to add a lot more water, and then Q-tips are always useful. And you can wash your brush in this reservoir where there's like wastewater already anyway. And then basically you can purge your airbrush inside here, so all the mess is contained within one area.
So brilliant.
Yeah, so the great thing about having 3D printers, you can optimize, you can design your own tools so that you can do whatever you want more efficiently.
Wow. And then if someone doesn't have, for example, a CD case and they want to get this, can this be adapted to use in different types of containers?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is connected just by these green parts. So all the green parts are separate pieces, and this is all modular. So if you have a different airbrush, you could just make a different holder for your particular airbrush brand. And then, if you used a different cup or, whatever container, you could just print a different adapter that'll connect to your cup differently.
Wow, it's a little airbrushing station. I imagine that could also apply to other tools. Aside from airbrushes, you could use it for all sorts of tools where you could use a low reservoir.
Yeah, you could literally make anything that you need. So and this is just one example of what you could do. And the cool thing is you can do weird things. I had this idea of my airbrush purging would clean my brush at the same time. So that's why this brush is angled the way it is. So when you purge your airbrush, it'll actually spray the paint off the paintbrush as well. And you can do weird stuff like that. And this was kind of a trial for me. Like I needed an airbrush station, so I made one quickly, and then you sort of think about it a little bit more and like, how can this be more efficient? And then you can evolve your tools that way, very organically and very functionally as well. People online have been like, how do you get this airbrush station? I want one for myself. And, you can just customize your own things and you can make it on the 3D printer.
Now, in past videos, when we look at your project, you talk about how a lot of that finishing actually happens before the print in your design.
Yeah.
How you split up the pieces, how you adapt and model skins on top of the cores. For example, the Ducati bike, the red pieces they're separate from the black pieces. But you can also create things after the fact, other 3D printed pieces to assist, right?
Yeah, so that's what this is here. So this is a Canada ball. It's like a Poland ball, but it's for Canada.
No idea what that is. Poland ball.
So Poland ball is a meme, and each country has a ball, and some are different shapes.
So Canada ball.
But this is Canada ball, and because Ultimaker's coming to Canada, we're gonna have a shop. So I made a Canada ball, and I thought, if I had to make a lot of these for promo purposes, painting these things would take forever. Yeah. So I thought, what better way to, do this is to create a mask in which I could reuse. Basically masking, so this is red and this is white. So you want to mask off all the white parts so that you can just airbrush the red parts really quickly. Now, traditionally you would have to cut out, like you would do masking tape and then you would have to cut it out with an X-Acto knife. Yes. And that would take a very long time, even if you had to make like 10 of these. So, and because it's a 3D shape, you can't just, use traditional methods. So I thought maybe I can 3D print a mask. So that's what I made this one for. So this is a 3D printed airbrush mask. Basically, you take a white one, and then you place it in here, and then this other part goes on, and then you just line up the maple leaf. Wow. And then you put these pins in, and these pins go all the way through, so it tightens the whole seam.
Mm-hmm. And that's a perfect mask.
Yeah, and so and there's a handle that I made as well, so I don't have to get my hands all dirty. But if you spray paint all these exposed areas red, you'll end up with one of these guys. So this is much faster. I mean, that took me like 5 seconds to do, as compared to if I had to do masking tape, cut it out, spray paint it, and then take it off. You know, that would take a lot longer. So this helps you do like sort of low yield, you know, production.
Yeah, and it's one of the advantages of working with a computer model, where you can take exactly, you know, where that leaf is going to be relative to the sphere, and you can just invert it, create another model that surrounds it, and then the tolerances are good enough?
Yeah, this is, you know, the tolerance is pretty good. I mean, you can see here, like this is, I use this to paint this one, so you can tell it works. The only thing I did extra was I painted the black around the eyes, but, you know, that's a small price to pay for not having to mask anything with tape. And all the shapes are there, like you said. You just do, you know, this is a positive impression of a leaf. You just do a negative, and then you subtract it from this shape. And then, you know, when it's drying, I made a stand. You just like leave it like that, and you know, it just makes the process more efficient. Just like this airbrush station makes, you know, painting more efficient. You can do other things too with 3D printers that, you know, allow you to be much more efficient in whatever you do.
And you're also thinking then of your prints less as a prototype, and that is the final production piece.
Yeah.
And it's good enough for that, as long as you're thinking ahead of time, you know where to get rid of your seams, you're printing in the right way.
Yeah.
And then, like something like this is really cool you brought. This is a completely finished piece, beautifully painted.
So this is a barrel. It's for so Saint Bernard dogs are known for having like a barrel under their neck. So I have a beagle, and I made one for her. So the beagle is much smaller than a Saint Bernard. So those regular barrels, you can actually buy them like in regular wood. But I was like, that's not gonna fit on my beagle, and like she would probably hate it. So I made a little one, smaller than this one for my beagle. And then other people came to me and they're like, I want one for my thing. So can you put like, you know, my flag on it and the name? So I started making some of these. And, you know, part of the process is, you know, I use this airbrush station like all the time for all this stuff. So, you know, that makes making these more efficient. And
that's beautiful. Yeah, and if you looked at it from afar, I couldn't tell if that was a 3D printed piece or if it was a cast piece, molded and cast. Now, when you make something for production, do you want to retain as much of the 3D printed, or do you want to let people know, hey, this was 3D printed, or do you want to kind of hide that completely?
I don't try to hide it, and like I won't sand everything so that it's super smooth and it looks like it's injection molded, because that would A, take too long, and B, like it's not really, like if someone buys something 3D printed, they know it's 3D printed, and that's part of the appeal. So like some of the mechs, the lines actually kind of help because it makes it look like metal. Makes it look raw. For the Ducati bike, you know, these smooth parts should be smooth, so that part I would obviously sand. But for the rest of it, you know, I leave it unsanded. I'll paint it, you know, because they need to be a proper color and shade. But otherwise, I leave all the 3D printed like nuances. Like if you can see the top of the barrel, you know, those are all grains there. It kind of looks like wood grain, so I don't mind it that much.
Yeah, no, that's great. I like faux wood, and that looks like faux wood. It's a really beautiful design. Do you ever apply extra epoxy on top or resin on top to smooth out some of those lines?
I usually don't, because most of what I design is very hard edge, and doing the epoxy coating tends to round corners and they pool in the crevices. So because my stuff have like the Max Ducati, and even these to a degree, has a lot of 90-degree surfaces, it's not great for pooling epoxy. It'll smooth it out, but I think if you print in a good enough resolution and you print in the right direction, I mean, you'll get results like this. And you know, this is no sanding at all. It's just primer and paint. I think it's totally fine.
Awesome, awesome. You've printed a lot of things, you've designed a lot of things, and it seems like every project you do kind of takes on a different challenge, whether it's adapting a model for printing, designing something complete from scratch yourself, or doing something mechanical. What's next? What are the challenges you want to take on in 3D printing?
I don't know. I'm open to anything. Like you said, I try a lot of different things, and I set my own goals for each particular project. So somebody may come to me and be like, hey, can you design me this thing? If it's an interesting project, I'll take it on, but I'll put my own sort of restrictions on it. For instance, this one, I want it to be like, it to come together, it look exactly like it was intended to be. So I wouldn't take any shortcuts in terms of like, all the crevices are there because in the initial design, it's there in the bike.
Right.
And then these ones I wanted to do joints. So it really depends on the project. Like I'm sort of open to whatever. And I'll throw my own challenges on there just to learn more and to develop my own skills.
Right, really pushing rapid fabrication on the consumer level to its limits. I love that. So thank you so much, Jackie, for coming all these weeks and showing us all your projects.
Yeah.
So many of these files are available online for people to download if they have their own 3D printers, and they can follow you on your website and for future projects.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys next time with more 3D printed projects on Tested.com. Until then, see you next time. Bye.